Hey, it's Todd Ault. This is Risk On. It's February 17th. This is the 12th day of what could be the best show ever about risk. That's a forward-looking statement, and of course, there's no guarantee that it is the best show. But you'll learn that if you read important documents like 10Ks, 10Qs, and make sure you're educated. I'm calling in from New York. Yesterday, I was in Greenwich. I was at a home of a successful real estate developer and hedge fund manager. And today, I got the privilege, talk about Risk On. A few years ago, DPW was the symbol, Ault Global, company I'm executive chairman. I got the privilege of going to the topping party of a hotel we're opening in Tribeca, where we're investors in. Now, you could argue what kind of risk was that at the time? I didn't think it was much of a risk. But now with COVID, over 40,000 rooms are expected to close in New York City. Therefore, we hope to be Forrest Gump, gathering all the shrimp when all those shrimp boats sunk during that hurricane, if you ever watched Forrest Gump. So we're betting on a recovery in hotels. This is the hard hat I got to wear. See right there, it says Caspi Development. And then this is Akon Tishman. That's a shameless plug for something I'm very proud of. You'll see it in Tribeca, or you can find it on the website. Of course, that's not an endorsement of the project or anything like that. Anyways, Jason, that was a little bit of a divergence about Risk On. We're investors in a hotel in New York City. Jason, what do you have for the day? It was a pretty crazy day for me, trading-wise. Wow, EH was out of control. What happened for you today?
Man, I thought that was a Bitcoin helmet. You fooled me on that.
Oh, does it look like Bitcoin?
Yeah, it looked like a beat. You know, put it. Yeah, I thought that was. Dude, I thought you were donning your Bitcoin hat there.
No, the B is for barrier. It's a. I can't speak French very well, but the flag that the hotel is going to run is a very famous French hotel, La Fouquette. And today they gave us these wonderful hard hats because we had to go up to the 9th floor. But Jason, yep. It was a crazy day in the market again. I got to tell you, give me your thoughts on what happened today.
I just think the entire market was propped up because of all of the crypto tickers. That's what I was seeing. I mean, there was.
Really? Well, let's cover the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq real quick.
Yeah.
Oil, gold, the ones we normally get.
Let's go through let's go through all the indicators here. The Dow was up 91 points, 31,614. SPY was a little wobbly during the day. I've been watching it a lot more than I have recently. It seems like there's there's a lot of tickers that are running with it, so I was just kind of tracking that a little bit. The Nasdaq was down 82 points, 13,965. The S&P was flat. It was down a point. Bitcoin, the big talk of the day, 52,000 plus. Ethereum actually cracked 1,800, 1,826. Oil up $1.18 to 61.23 a barrel. Gold had some pressure today. It was down $25 an ounce. Everybody was into the Bitcoin and the crypto space, and silver was up 11 cents, 27.43. That's what we had today.
Bitcoin at 52,500, give or take 400.
Yeah.
Insane moves happening in these spaces. Insane moves. I saw RIOT. Hey, listen, I didn't start the show properly. I should have done this right. My name is Todd Ault. I'm executive chairman of Ault Global, listed on the NYSE American. This is Jason Bartholomew, my partner in crime, trader, poker player, former Major League Baseball player. Yes, he was in the minor leagues. Sorry, everybody. But he did get paid to throw the ball.
Yeah. Jason,
we had some risk on trades yesterday, like the shippers. Why don't we take things one by one? You walk us through it.
All right. Since you already brought RIOT up, Brett, I have RIOT on the screen. Let's go right to it. It seems that RIOT is getting some separation now from Mara and the other tickers. I mean, look at this thing now. After hours, it's over 80. 77.90 today. Good for a 30.92% run up. I mean, this thing
almost 81 in the aftermarket. 80.99 right now.
Yeah, I just want to look at that 6 month. I mean, if we just go back to around the holiday period, I just grabbed December. Well, let's just look right here. December 10th, my wife's birthday. $9.34. 12 million volume. Look at that thing. 9.34. Now we go. It's only what, 2 months later, a little more than 2 months later. We're at 70. We're at over $80 a share. So I mean, it's just incredible. The gains that have happened from the Bitcoin craziness, and it's continuing, are just amazing. I wanted to also, keeping crypto in mind, I just wanted to look at a couple of other crypto tickers that you guys, you all might not recognize. And one of them is NXTD, okay? This is actually a healthcare tech company that decided that they're just going to go ahead and get into the crypto craze, and they're just going to start mining Bitcoin also. And we're looking at that today. That was actually the leader per percent for the run-up for the crypto tickers, 75%. It definitely squeezed. Heavy volume. Well, let's look at the 6 month on that. Same thing. December 10th. You had that at 39 cents. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple of other tickers that you might not be familiar with. The other one is going to be GRNQ. Let's look at that one. Green Pro Capital Corporation had a nice day today, up 34%. This company actually has a little bit of background on Green Pro. They, Brett, you got that screen up? Okay. They have a crypto-focused investment fund, and the news there was they had signed an investment agreement for $7 million with Innovest Energy Fund. So they actually, Innovest will manage, actually GRNQ has about a $100 million Bitcoin fund currently, and it looks like that this company is going to help manage it, the Innovest Energy Fund. So I just wanted to give you guys a couple of alternatives. Most of you all know the traditional Bitcoin tickers. Obviously, RIOT, Mara, Overstock, BT, FT for the Chinese side. But here's just a couple of alternatives that I just wanted to raise awareness.
Yeah, it is a truly parabolic market. One has to wonder when this stuff consolidates a little bit. You have pretty much of a tear on Bitcoin, just out of control, and probably sort of global adoption. It really reminds me of the internet days, the late 90s, the 2000s, where the internet could do no wrong. Bitcoin can do no wrong right now. It's a pretty crazy time right now. I can't imagine telling people to get off the train, but I can tell them if they've had, really parabolic gains to maybe put some principal away. These are pretty crazy times. I mean, it's like a tree grows to the sky scenario. But that being said, obviously I'm a bull on Bitcoin long term, but short term, these are pretty parabolic moves. What do you think about it, Jason? I mean, what's your thoughts on if you look at the chart on RIOT, it's been nonstop, man.
Let's go back. Yeah, let's look at the 1 year. There it is. I mean, look at that.
It's insane.
And they, and their conviction, hats off to RIOT. Their conviction and Mara's conviction to basically go all in on this, to have the wherewithal to fight through the tough times. My hat's off to them. So they're getting rewarded now. Shareholders are getting rewarded. It's easy to track. If you're an investor, if you're a shareholder, you know exactly where the revenue is derived from. It's really simple. So here we are.
Yeah, there's some other stocks really getting lifted because of crypto.
Yeah,
and other reasons. It's an insane time right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to cover any of the shifter stocks before we get to some interesting trades that happened? Today?
Yeah, let's just cover. Let's cover this one. We spoke about. I spoke pretty at length for PXS. Brett, here it is. Here it's Pi 6 tankers, and here you go. I spoke about the Greek shippers. I said in no and no fashion, no form do I ever hold one of these shipping tickers overnight. And lo and behold, look what we have. PXS with a $1.75 placement, $25 million, and that thing tanked, 31% today. So it actually closed at 204, which surprised me. It was a direct placement offering, so that was a little bit better, but this proves our point about Greek shippers. They can slap an offer.
Well, your Sundial, did it not have a massive shelf filing, right? They didn't do an offer.
$1 billion.
Right?
Yeah, $1 billion.
But a $1 billion shelf, not an offering, but filed for a shelf, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously that's a huge difference. But Sundial now, that was basically all I wanted to cover for the Greek shippers. Let's go to Sundial, because we were speaking about that. That's, today, Brett, you have that on the screen? Okay, $1.72, down 21.5%. It's getting to the point now where we're watching it closely. Now they have this $1 billion shelf. I mean, where could we possibly look for re-entry here? I mean,
right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen some companies recently running up. I saw a statistic that said the number of people following S3s, number of companies following S3s, is pretty high right now. There are a lot of people seeking liquidity in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But you can't really blame them, because that liquidity will help those companies long term if they have a solid business plan. So you have the market, as they say, that when the ducks are quacking, you've got to feed the ducks, and the ducks are quacking right now. And small cap and these companies are really raising a lot of capital. Crazy times there in terms of that. What other stocks are you following that are interesting to you?
Well, TLRY had earnings just now. I'm looking at it. Brett, I have it. You have it on the screen there. TLRY. Okay. Yeah, that one actually. Earnings came in. Actual was negative 2 cents a share. The street was looking for negative 14 cents a share. They crushed that. Estimated earnings, the street was 55.6 million, and it was 56.6. So they beat that, and you can see the after hours here. It's up 15%. So TLRY has been recently under a lot of pressure. We covered it last week, where it literally lost half of its value. Todd, you remember that?
Is it a trade now or not?
Well, I mean, it's looking like it looks like it's getting a lot of activity after hours, but it's not a trade for me just yet, because I'm just too involved with the crypto tickers personally. So, but it could be an entry here for sure.
Well, these marijuana stocks have had like a couple lives, right? A couple 9 lives here.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a possibility. There's been a lot of chatter of Sundial and possible acquisition. That's why the shelf is in place. Possible acquisition of a certain a cannabis company in California. So you're looking at federal legislation to approve marijuana for the entire United States. Sundial could be in a position to acquire, along with other Canadian cannabis companies, to acquire a U.S. cannabis company to make sure that they have a footprint in America. I mean, with that $1 billion shelf, that's what that's telling me.
Got it. Yeah, I sold some position I thought that weren't working out today, but nothing major. I thought the market, for the most part, except for crypto stuff, was relatively flat, and it looked like the Nasdaq was a little heavy today.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Any thoughts on the Nasdaq at all? What was heavy there?
To be honest, I didn't even look at, from that perspective, I wasn't even studying the overall Nasdaq. I was still so super focused on specific tickers that I really didn't look at the overall market.
Because the Nasdaq was down about 0.5%, a little bit more than 0.5%, but at one point I think it was down a full percentage points. And people that are traders out there that are new to the game need to know that so goes the market, so goes generally 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Stocks in general. I'm looking at RIOT here approaching 84, up $24. I am, listen, am I calling it top? No, but am I concerned that this is getting a little frothy short term? I'm definitely concerned.
Hey, can you cover, I've got this on the screen, Brett. Todd, can you walk me through that EH trade you did today? I've got it up here. It's a big gainer today. Tell me about that.
So a company, I think they're called Wolfpack. Have you heard of these guys? They wrote a short report on the stock.
Uh-huh.
Is the chart up there now? Because
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, so if you look at this, they make, wow, it's just like, it's hard to describe this. But the stock was $126, and last night it hit 45 on a short report, a pretty negative report from short sellers.
I see. I see it. Okay.
Yeah, and a friend of mine brought it to my attention, and I bought a little bit, 1,000 shares at 57. And this in the pre-market, and this is one of the things I like, when I want to buy something cheaper, in the pre-market it was at 41, and I bought some stock at 41.50, 41.70,
Wow.
and I believe 42.
Wow.
And it traded up to $74, and I sold it, I think, a little bit back around 60, and then the balance between 69 and 74. And I think I made about $40,000 on the day trading that stock. And I brought it to people's attention because I like volatility a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty impressed with that volatility. And I had a friend of mine really tell me that this is a solid company that makes drones, that do fire protection, etc. Now, I am not endorsing, I want to be very clear. I did it for a trade, and I don't know that I believe my friend or not as to how solid it is.
Right.
It's a Chinese drone manufacturer.
Right.
But this was living proof. This was living proof that it could be very volatile, and it was a really volatile day to trade that stock. I was kind of amazed to watch it happen, and I find myself flipping out of it. And this is an example. When you have the interactive brokerage account or a Webull account, there are opportunities, if you're a heavy trader, to take advantage of displacements in the market when this kind of thing happens. So the EH trade was an example of what I'm concerned about. You're talking about a stock going from 126 to 44, then 41 in the pre-market, and then rallying back over 30 points. This is some immense volatility. I would not suggest it for the average person or the faint of heart. I happen to know this person, this investor, well, and his family. They brought it to my attention. I took a risk. Now, that's risk on if I've ever seen, because when everyone was going the opposite way, I was buying. And some people consider that to be a little gambling. I don't think it's gambling. I practice risk parameters. I promised myself I'd only put 100 grand in there. And if it went to zero, it wouldn't have mattered to me. I would have been unhappy with losing the 100 grand, but it wouldn't, in the big scheme of the account, hurt us. So, Jason, I wonder what you think, because I know you thought I was a little insane today.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, that's such volatility, and I just want to know, like, when you traded that today, did you have a mental stop, or did you actually put a stop in place?
So I trade a little different, and that is if I believe a name is a credible name, and they've built up a lot of credibility, I look at relative strength and how it's been doing for a long time. And if they have sponsorship, you can usually trade down knowing that sponsors are going to step in. People are going to say, this is too cheap. I know this company. They're going to buy it, and they're going to give it a lift.
Yeah. So
I was looking for a bounce. And for me, I would have bought all the way down into the 30s to average my price down a little bit, look for that bounce. Did I think it was going to bounce, effectively from where I bought it, effectively 70%? No, I didn't.
Right.
But I didn't have a stop, Jason, because I trade with larger dollars, and I decided an amount that I'm willing to risk. So I guess in theory, I risked 100 grand.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because that one is that's such a fast mover that I know you're on your phone, and I just wanted to know how you went about that trade, because that one can go south, and it can go south quickly. So I just wanted to.
If people were to see, well, I do have a firm I use for trading where there's a human being doing the trading. I do a lot of trading on a mobile phone, and if people saw that I traded millions of dollars a week on a mobile phone, I'm sure other people do it. I'm not claiming I'm, someone, better than anybody else, but
right.
I do happen to trade a lot on a mobile phone. It works for me. Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade, Webull, they're very convenient. I actually personally like Robinhood.
Yeah.
I trade a lot on my personal account on Robinhood.
But we could get into this at a later time, and we probably will, but it seems like Robinhood limits their trading hours to keep people on the on the wheel, if you will, like just kind of keeping the dollars. It's tough. It puts you in bad positions at times. It doesn't allow you the flexibility to get in and out of tickers when a volume comes in. So, I used Robinhood for a while for options and crypto, but
there's no question that Robinhood has a problem because they only on the Pacific Coast time they let you start trading at 6 o'clock, and you have that luxury with Webull and Interactive Brokers to trade a lot earlier. And I have just found that if you love a name, sometimes there's price disparity on the Pacific Coast between 1 a.m. and the opening that you can't otherwise get 30 minutes before the open like Robinhood lets you do.
Especially, yeah, you're right about that, because especially with the crypto tickers, because if Bitcoin gaps up at like 12:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you're preparing and you're able to trade at 1 a.m., you can scoop up a RIOT or a Mara or a ticker like that before a lot of the other brokerages even open.
But it can change your mentality. The other day, RIOT was like at 23. I bought it at 24 in the pre-market, I believe. Don't quote my exact numbers. I sold it for $27.50. By the end of the day, I think it was 35. So sometimes you can build in a profit in your mind. You have a profit target, and and you make those mistakes.
Yeah, there's often times that some of my friends literally get up at 4 a.m. or 1 a.m. depending on the coast. They'll make some pre-market trades and literally be done for the day and go back to bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think for the person trading an account between 100, call it 50,000 and maybe 300,000, these Robinhoods, Weebulls, they're allowing the average individual effectively pretty close to commission free to really take advantage of swings that otherwise, for me, when I want to buy something and to make a difference, I probably have to buy a $200,000 or $300,000 position, maybe bigger. When you're smaller and have a smaller account, you can get probably more meaningful trades without moving it too much. To be able, in pre-market conditions,
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
Shares here, etc.
That's another good. You raise a good point there, because you trying to scale in pre-market because of the lack of liquidity. It's almost impossible to get a good piece, sizing for you.
And they don't let you do market orders in pre-market, so you have to kind of work it to make sure you put in your price, and it's a little bit of a pain. But but I think people can take pretty solid advantage of it. At least that's my experience has been.
Yeah, for sure. And we can touch it. We need to touch on. We need to have a show where we just talk about that, talk about different styles of trading as far as and then talk about as far as sizing and scaling in versus a smaller account versus larger account. We need to have maybe just a show on that. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
I got a question about price disparity from our producer, one of our producers. And price disparity is the stock, for example, if you looked at EH, it closed, I think, around 44 or 45, traded in the aftermarket yesterday up to 57, where I bought some to 55. And then in the marketplace, pre-market, it was at 41, so it only showed it down $4 for the day, but it was really from the previous day down around 80. But from overnight, it was actually only down 4, but I bought it at 55. So price disparity is there's pretty big volatility in the aftermarkets relative to the closing price, which we use is effectively in New York, right? And so you can see a big differences in the closing prices versus not. Jason, what do we have for tomorrow? What are you looking at? I mean, I'm curious as to what you think of GameStop down another 366, OCGN kind of dying out down 69, Sundial at $1.81, $1.82. Some of those high-flying names are giving a lot back.
Yeah, I want to see what happens with the crypto tickers and Bitcoin itself, and see if there is a little bit of a profit taking there. If the profits, where they rotate, where the money rotates, will it rotate back into bio? Will it rotate back into the marijuana stocks? Energy's been pretty steady. We've been going now for about 27 minutes, and I feel like I haven't covered nearly what I want to cover. It's just been a crazy day.
Is that what do you think that the rotation is just that heavy now? That, have the retail and smaller institutions just figured out that we're going to rotate from hotspot to hotspot? Because I saw a shitload of money, pardon my French, pouring into crypto.
Literally, I have there's 13 tickers of crypto, and they just were all just massively up today. Like, I mean, and there was a couple of them that were lower float. You know, like Cino. We didn't even talk about Cino. It's a shipping.
You know, I know you're going to go into this real quick.
Yeah.
You're going to go into this whole. This is another thing that scares the crap out of me. You see this tea company.
Yeah.
Reminds me back to crypto in 2018. They're converting into crypto. Like they make iced tea or something, and now they make crypto.
I mean, they're like
this of Long Island blockchain.
Yeah, Long Island blockchain. And then people are starting to say, oh, you know, it's like the tulips. Well, it's not like the tulips, in my opinion. But so we'll see what happens we'll see what happens tomorrow with the crypto tickers. But I wanted to cover. I wanted to go back to POWW that we didn't even get to cover. So I wanted to review POWW. I laid out the foundation for possible long play on this, and they filed an S3 filing for 150 million mixed shelf offering. We don't have the full details on it yet, but full disclosure, I did take a long position at 760 average today, and I think it was a pretty good entry. Currently, we're at 782 in the after hours. You can see that this company had decent earnings. They needed to raise capital because of their acquisition of gunbroker.com. So I think we called that pretty well for all of our viewers. If you guys like content like that, just as an aside, please do us a favor and click the thumbs up button. It really helps. And leave comments down below, because I really want to make sure that we're covering stuff that is interesting to our viewers. But this one I think was pretty interesting, so I just wanted to touch on that we did in fact see the filing like we thought we would, and now we just need to get the details on the actual offering itself. But this one is a good long position for me personally. You know, you can keep doing your own research, but I just wanted to touch on that one.
Yeah, I actually thought that we had brought that to viewers' attention, that we expected an offering to be coming because they had to pay for gunbroker.com. I think they even said they were going to ultimately do one. And for it seemed to, you know, it did hit the last couple weeks, or last week and some change. It did hit like just below $10 twice on the 5-day.
Yeah, let me look at the here. I'll pull the 5-day up. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so I expect that once they do a pricing of their deal, they'll probably resume their climb, because they're obviously getting into a big space. They have a big backlog.
Yeah. But
it was smart of us. I mean, I'm really giving you pats on the back here to make sure we were paying attention to the fact that they looked like they were going to do an offering to buy gunbroker.com. And since their uplisting, they came for, I think, from $3. They hit almost $10.
Yeah.
It made sense that this was going to happen. And you can't blame the company for, not wanting to take advantage of the market.
Not at all. I mean, gunbroker.com, 60 million revenue in 2020, 40 million EBITDA. So, I mean, it seems like a good acquisition. And currently with the backlog, with ammunition, law enforcement's having trouble getting bullets themselves. So it's pretty wild right now.
The gun space has been pretty remarkable recently. And POWW is getting a lot of attention. But I bring up a couple points to my friends, Josh and Morgan, the people who were hosting us yesterday, and our partners in the hotel. Morgan, she calls herself, this is her name for herself, she calls herself the stock slut, which I thought to myself, I said, Morgan, I don't think that that's politically correct, but she tells me, she's really gotten into it, and it concerns me that there are a lot of people that continue to enter this market that want to be in stocks, want to be trading, and I'm all for it. Believe me, I'm completely for it. I want my kids to learn. I want everyone to learn.
Yeah.
There are some, she asked me about POWW, didn't even know we talked about it on the show, and they were trading NEO and EH, and they're the ones that gave me that EH trade.
Yeah.
So I'm a little blown away by what's happening. I just think it's the power of one thing, and that's this device, this cell phone.
Yep.
It's made it possible for you to have the most powerful opportunity to make money in the world right in the palm of your hands. And people like Robinhood, I continue to say this, are changing the way that the market absorbs. And I think for people like me who are 30-year plus veterans, we have to figure out when we're going to get used to the fact that the rules that have there before and the way people traded before seem to be different. I'm seeing stocks trade up after opportunities, so you never know with POWW.
Yeah.
It does an offering. It may go up in value because obviously people think it's stronger. I have no idea how to gauge what to do with Bitcoin. I would just tell people, look at Kathy Wood in the ARK Investing. She has a policy that she will cut her positions back if they grow more than 10% of their portfolio. People have got to look at this risk. Risk on doesn't mean risk stupid. It doesn't mean risk insanity.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean risk everything. It means understand that stocks can go down. And I'm living proof. I've been through great times and bad times.
Yep.
And I continue to say that risk on does not just mean you press the pedal and with reckless abandon. But it's an interesting time, Jason. I wondered, what's the stock of the day for you tomorrow? What's a risk on trade for you tomorrow or rest of the week?
Well, tomorrow we're going to look at the continuation of these crypto tickers. I want to see what happens to LODE. Did we even cover that? I don't think we did.
No, you've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
But I've not paid.
Okay, yeah, we did cover it a little bit. They did it. They bought up to 64% of a lithium recycling company. So that was pretty interesting.
I'm pretty sad for that because you talked about it at the $2 range, and LODE hit. Oh my God!
I had 1,000 shares. I sold in. I sold in the sevens.
Well, I guess you got to put that on your radar now that they're in the lithium business.
Yeah.
Pretty decent market cap. Wow.
They also
up 135%.
Yeah, they're also a Nevada company, so I'm trying to support my local Nevada businesses. So absolutely,
local community there, right?
So, also, did you get that position in GIGM?
Yeah, and I did what you asked me to, but I don't quite know what that is.
It's just a gaming ticker. It was kind of getting some attention. I wanted to see what happens with it tomorrow. That's all. I just want to see if it gets any legs.
This is Giga Media, right?
Yeah.
Hey, for full disclosure, I bought 10,000 shares around here at the $4.08 mark. No, sorry, 20,000 shares. Jason, why is this a risk on trade? Why are we long GIGM?
It's not really that we're long. Well, it's just kind of an overnight swing trade. I just wanted to see what there was quite a bit of talk about this company and a couple of other media tickers. I looked at the float; it was 6 million. I looked at the daily. I just looked at some of the fundamentals. It was a former runner before, so it was more of an overnight impulse buy. If I'm being honest, nothing that we're going to hold in a portfolio. If it doesn't perform, if it drops below 4, we're just going to cut it. So
not a lot of conviction with you on GIGM, but it is a risk on trade. We did put on 20,000 shares today. Of course, The show does not endorse you buying or selling any stocks. This is not advice. This is entertainment. These are our ideas. We're telling you exactly what we're doing when we buy or sell something. So want to be clear there. I did want to make sure that I did disclose that I traded. It fell back to 518, and I did buy 15,000 shares of TRXC. I never can say that name right.
Yeah.
And I traded it up to 560, 558, and I sold out about 15,000 shares. So that thing's had a pretty big run. I've been trading a little bit, buying it on pullbacks, doing a little trading there. But for the most part, I'm long the same names I've been long. You can see all those filings in my own 13D that I file for Ault Global Holdings. Anything on your mind before we hang up here?
We got about a minute to go. I just wanted to say that the retail sales jumped 5.3% in January. That was ahead of the expectation of 1.2%. A lot of that stimulus money went into Robinhood, went into Webull also. But I wanted to touch on that, and I wanted to see if there was anything else you wanted to talk about. I did want to say my condolences to Rush Limbaugh's family. He did pass away today. We didn't really talk about much lifestyle stuff or anything that's going on other than the stock market, but he was a pioneer in the conservative media movement.
Yeah, I do want to say something about Rush Limbaugh, and that is early in the days in 1990-something, probably 91, I discovered Rush Limbaugh on KFI radio, and I listened to him a lot, and I thought that whether you love him or hate him, he made you think, and it's really sad to see him go. And I don't know whether he is sad or not about how polarized we are, how there's one tribe or another.
Yeah.
But I always enjoyed his point of view, and early in my 20s, he helped shape some of the ideas that I had, made me do something that I wish everyone would do. I took a class in college, and it was really motivated by Rush Limbaugh, and it was called Logic and Critical Thinking. And it'd be nice that a lot of people thought before they spoke. A lot of people thought before they dissed someone or hated on them, or spoke in absolutes. And Rush Limbaugh, you may not like him or dislike him, but he was a critical thinker. I didn't always agree with his politics. Not all of us did. I know, Jason, you probably are more biased to Rush than I was.
Yeah.
But he was a logic and critical thinker, and we're going to miss his thinking. And with that in mind, it's February 17th, and Rush Limbaugh took a risk in Sacramento and convinced someone to become a syndicated broadcaster and created the EIB network and made millions of dollars for himself. And Rush Limbaugh is our risk-on trader of the day. This guy never gave up with what he was doing. He stuck to his guns no matter how much people hated him. And we'll miss Rush Limbaugh. Everybody, this is February 17th for Jason Bartholomew. We'll see you tomorrow.